So, for those of you who don't know, this was on the front page of Reddit under the Arc Raiders subreddit, as well as all over their Discord. It now has over 25,000 upvotes. Essentially, there was a quadriplegic player who used a specialized accessibility controller, one he needs not just for gaming, but for everyday computer use, who is permanently banned from Arc Raiders. Obviously, he wasn't cheating or exploiting, just a controller that his disability requires him to use, and the game's anti-cheat decided, his inputs looked suspicious. Now, this player actually said they were already banned once in January, and their ban ended on February 23rd, and it sounds like roughly a few weeks later, they were rebanned. Now, this is not an isolated incident. This is one of the most visible examples of a larger problem that has been quietly affecting regular players for months with virtually zero response from Embark Studios. Today, I just want to break down exactly what's going on, why it keeps happening, as well as why the systems Embark has in place make it almost impossible, pretty much, for affected players to get any real help. It is also important that I mention that this person has now, fortunately, been unbanned by Embark. So thank you for everybody, that have upvoted this and have blown this up, because this is obviously, a huge issue. And this post was made yesterday. I'm recording this video the day after. So it took them about a day to unban this person. Now, because of how big that post got and how much people have been referencing it, they did really briefly address it in regards specifically to accessibility peripherals. However, they still have not addressed the overall overarching issue of false bans in general. So let me kind of give you the full picture of what I personally have been through, because this is now pretty much a two-part story. So I just want to show you what the ban message actually looks like, first of all. It tells you your account has been suspended for behavior that violates our code of conduct, and it'll tell me when my access has been restored. Directs me to the support, right? Great. You'd think, okay, awesome, I'll just go appeal it. No. So let me give you a full picture of what I've been through, because this is now a two-part story, essentially. Back in January, I was in the middle of a damn Battlegrounds night raid when my game froze. I thought I had crashed, but instead I got hit essentially with a suspension screen. Now, I submitted a support ticket that same night, and the next morning a support agent named Neva responded with this. After reviewing your appeal, we've confirmed that the restriction on your account was issued correctly. Our anti-cheat systems detected abnormal behavior inconsistent with normal gameplay. Now, word for word, no specifics, no explanation of what quote-unquote abnormal behavior meant, no opportunity to respond to a real person. Now, for context, I am on a brand new PC. I actually still haven't even changed the background, which I probably should, but it's a power spec PC, great PC. Shout out to Micro Center, got it from there. Bought it in December. Still barely has any software installed on it outside of a couple games. And one of my main reasons for buying it was literally to play Arc Raiders with my friends. So, that's just the cherry on top, right? Pretty devastating and frustrating, this whole situation, with that in mind. Now, after weeks of getting nothing but automated follow-up responses, I waited out the 30 days. I eventually got unbanned on February 20th. And I absolutely grinded to complete the expedition in time. I think I spent 30 hours in that week alone, just getting enough resources and, to complete it and get all the skill points that I needed. And then not even 2 weeks later, the same thing happened again. Nearly the exact same response, word for word, a full month between bans, different circumstances, and they copy-pasted the same answer at me. I think that alone should kind of tell you that there's some sort of issue here, but it does not stop there. This is just kind of the surface of it. I also want to be clear about something. I made a deliberate point to play cautiously during these 2 weeks. Absolutely no exploits, obviously, as well as being modest in voice chat. I was overall friendly, so there wasn't really anything that could remotely trigger a flag, at least from my understanding, but obviously none of it really mattered. All right, so here's where this stops being just my own personal problem. In the official Arc Raiders Discord, and this has been happening for months now, but under the bug reports section, there are so many reports of people saying that they've been false banned. And I created my own thread in the Discord I think actually a couple times. Both times they were taken down by the CMs in the Discord, as well as I'm seeing other people's posts also consistently being taken down by the CMs. Still, not a single person from Embark has addressed any of it. Additionally, there was actually a mega thread back in January that had, I think, 2,000 messages in it that was eventually closed by the CMs. Now, Reddit has also been flooded with posts about this, and some of them have gotten serious traction. I showed you the posts in the intro, but it's worth kind of just coming back to for a second. Over 25,000 upvotes. This player was unbanned almost immediately after the post blew up, which is genuinely great news. But I think about what it took to get there. A post going massively viral on Reddit before Embark did anything. The average player has no shot at that kind of visibility. And there are still plenty of people sitting in the exact same position now with no resolution and no answers. And we also saw Tfue get banned earlier this year. He was, of course, unbanned within, I think, hours, not weeks, not months, but hours. And I'll explain exactly kind of why that happened in a moment. And it's honestly probably not for the reason that you think. So what is actually causing all of this? Well, after a lot of research and a lot of people talking, I believe the core problem lies with the anti-cheat system that Embark is using. Now, Arc Raiders uses 2 layers of anti-cheat. Easy anti-cheat, which is extremely common across gaming. I'm sure you've heard of it before. And a second system called AnyBrain. Now, this is AnyBrain's website right here. Now, AnyBrain is different from the traditional anti-cheat. It doesn't just detect unauthorized software or injected code. It uses AI-driven behavioral analysis, tracking over 100 behavioral biometrics of how you physically interact with the game. Your mouse movements, your aim, your patterns, your inputs. It builds a profile of how you play and then flags you if it thinks something looks quote-unquote abnormal. And then if you look at the language in the support responses players are getting, which says, quote, our anti-cheat systems detected abnormal behavior inconsistent with normal gameplay. The observed behavior results in an unfair advantage. That language is not describing a file scan. That's describing a behavioral flag. That is AnyBrain. Now, here's what makes this particularly alarming. I looked up AnyBrain on SteamDB, which is basically the Steam database. You can find, Steam charts, how many people are playing games. You can also see what kind of back-end softwares like anti-cheats that games use. I looked up AnyBrain on here, and as of making this video, out of all the games on Steam, only a small handful actually use AnyBrain as an anti-cheat. And most of these are tests, as you can see. The real fully released games using it, Arc Raiders, The Finals, Lost Ark, and Gray Zone Warfare. And guess what these all have in common? Every single one of these titles have reported false span issues. Now, Arc Raiders has the largest player base of any of them by far. This is essentially the first time AnyBrain has been deployed at this scale, so I just want you to kind of think about what that means. This is an experimental AI system being tested on a massive player base on people who paid $40 for a game they have the right to play. It is unstable, and Embark is using it to make automated banning decisions. Now, here's just something kind of personal that I want to bring up. I have a condition called an essential tremor. So it causes my aim to be shaky and inconsistent at times, especially under like high pressure situations. Now, I have spoken to other players who have also been falsely banned, and several of them have also mentioned they have tremors as well. So if AnyBrain is profiling, quote, normal aim behavior and flagging outliers, players with physical conditions like mine, or, of course, in the case of the quadriplegic player, are going to get caught in that net through no fault of their own, and obviously that's a serious problem. Now, one more thing that's kind of worth noting, these bans are 30 days, not permanent. So if Embark was truly confident in the accuracy of their system, you would expect permanent bans, right? Especially for cheating. But the fact that they're issuing temporary ones, and at that repeated temporary ones, suggests that they don't really fully trust it either. So just, as I said, something worth noting. Now, even if the anti-cheat is misfiring, you'd expect a human support team to step in and catch these false positives. But unfortunately, that is where the second problem comes in. Now, this is HelpShift. Essentially, HelpShift is an AI native support system. Now, their model is built around automating as much of the support process as possible with the goal of handling player inquiries without needing a human agent. They call this their deflection rate. And they boast about deflection rates of over 90% in some of their case studies. That means the goal is to resolve more than 9 out of 10 support tickets entirely through automation with no human ever reviewing them. Now, shout out to Cake Milk here, who actually brought this to everyone's attention, but it gets worse, unfortunately. Now, before all of this controversy blew up, HelpShift's website advertised a dedicated VIP and whale support service, offering premium, prioritized support to high-profile players and big spenders. Now, they have since removed that section from their website, which was noticed and documented by players in the community. This is almost certainly why Tfue was unbanned within hours, while the rest of us wait weeks or months with zero real communication. He's a high-profile streamer, he gets a human, we get a chatbot. And on top of that, HelpShift also offers full Discord management services. The same company handling the automated support tickets is very likely the same system moderating the Discord server, which would essentially explain why community threads about false bans get closed with no explanation. So let's put this all together. And here's basically what you're looking at. An AI anti-cheat that flags your account automatically, feeding into an AI support system that automatically confirms the decision is correct, managed by an AI Discord moderation layer that closes your community threads. There is virtually no human intervention at any point in this loop, and Embark has essentially outsourced the entire relationship between themselves and their players to automated AI systems. I spent $40 on this game. I have, I think, almost 150 hours in it. And as I said, I bought a brand new PC in December, partly to play this game with my friends. I completed the expedition, as I said before, and now I've been banned twice for reasons that I still cannot fully explain, because no one will tell me anything. And this isn't just me. The Finals, Embark's other game, has had a long thread on its own subreddit with 644 upvotes of players dealing with this exact same issue. There's also a bunch of other Reddit posts of people claiming that they were false banned in the Finals. Same experience, same cold shoulder, no resolution. This has, obviously been kind of a pattern for months with Embark, unfortunately. Now, let me clarify something. I genuinely love Arc Raiders, and I think it's a great game. That's what makes this so frustrating. But I also have to be real. Right now, if you're an average player, you have no protection. You can be flagged by an AI system, confirmed banned by an AI support bot, and have your community threads closed by an AI moderator, all without a single human at Embark ever looking at your case. That is just not an acceptable standard for a company whose game has several 100,000 peak concurrent players. They have the resources to do better. Now, I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm literally just asking for basic accountability. Tell players what triggered their ban. Give them a path to actually communicate with a human being. Acknowledge that your anti-cheat is producing false positives at scale. That's it. It's really not that complicated. Now, while you don't have to believe every single player claiming a false ban was innocent, it is pretty much virtually impossible that this many people are all cheaters and liars. The sheer volume of complaints, combined with everything we now know about how the system actually works, makes it clear that there's something that's seriously broken with this process. Now, I'm making this video because as an average player, this is the only platform I have. Mind you, I do not even post to YouTube. I don't have any subscribers. I'm literally just doing this because I don't know what else to do. So I've left links in the description to my Reddit posts. I've made a new one now, actually, as well as I do have a previous video I made on this on my channel. You can go check it out. But if you've been falsely banned too, please drop it in the comments. Share this video. Tag Embark on X, most importantly. The only way that this gets addressed is if enough people speak up so they can no longer ignore it. Embark, if anyone from your team actually watches this, please do better. Your players deserve it.